What's going on with the Democrats? In the days following Biden's disastrous Emperor Palpatine speech, it seems they were doing everything they possibly could to walk back from that embarrassment. Now, they're going back to embracing Biden's reckless and divisive rhetoric. We're going to find out exactly what's going on here. And if you stick with me at the very end of this video, we're going to find out why the Democrats' plans are doomed to fail. You're not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. It's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and turbulent times. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. And gang, make sure you click on that link below and visit the amazing patriots over at Goldco. If you've got $50,000 or more in an IRA, 401k, or savings account, you need to protect those assets from bumbling Biden's insanity with the timeless value of gold and silver. Click on that link below and talk to our good friends over at Goldco. They're patriots just like us, and they want you to succeed so much that they're offering you up to $10,000 in free silver if you open up an account with them. But that is a limited time offer, so don't wait. Click on that link below or visit my special website, Turley Talks Likes Gold.com, and I most certainly do. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. We're seeing some very strange activity coming out of the Democratic Party and their soulless surrogates in the lamestream media over the last week. It's very clear as of today that Biden and the Democrats have decided to double down on that disastrous speech last week, his blood-red speech that disparaged half the nation as threats to our national security. And this was after several days of some of the most cringeworthy attempts at trying to walk back from that speech. They clearly had focus groups and some internal polling showing that it was not well received. And yet, as of the last few days, Biden had gone right back into the strategy of insulting half the nation as national security threats. So what on earth is going on here? The GOP firebrand Congressman Jim Jordan was asked about it, and he had a great insight into this. Take a look.
What MAGA Republicans, the extreme right, the Trumpies.
President Biden not taking Labor Day off from doubling down on his attacks against the MAGA Republicans.
Is it a wise move? Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan wants to weigh in, so we want to let him. Congressman, the strategy, Trumpies, MAGA, ultra MAGA, what's behind this?
Well, what else are you going to do, Brian? You got to call your opposition names when you got nothing else to point to. I mean, we went from safe streets to record crime. We went from a secure border to no border. We went from $2 gas to $5 gas, and we went from stable prices to record inflation. So call me extreme if I want actually, stable prices, affordable energy. If I want to actually have a secure border, call us extreme. I guess that's what you're going to do when you got nothing else to talk about. But Brian, think about this. In the past 4 weeks, Joe Biden has raided the home of a former president, taken the phone of a sitting member of Congress, called one half of the country fascist and extremist, said to those same people, oh, by the way, we're going to make you pay the student loan debt off of someone else. And finally, he signed a bill to unleash 87,000 IRS agents to come harass you, the American taxpayer. Such a deal. So I guess he's going to call us names after doing those kind of extreme things. He can do that, but I don't think it sells.
Well, Congressman, it looks like he's just trying to change the subject. Donald Trump is not on the ballot, but he's trying to put him on there by reminding people, particularly the independents, MAGA, Trumpies, stuff like that, because he wants to talk about Donald Trump and not about his poor poll numbers or inflation or any of the stuff you've mentioned.
Well, he doesn't want to talk about all his record because they got nothing positive they've done. And they've done all those 4 things I talked about, plus they've attacked our liberty. So there's nothing they can talk about on their record. If he wants to put President Trump on the ballot, great. I think that's good because Americans remember how good we had it under President Trump. So if he wants to do that, just fine. But I don't think it's going to work. I think on November 8th, 63 days from now, people are going to show up in a big way and they're going to send a message to the Democrats. And then when we get in power, it's incumbent upon us to do what we said we were going to do and fight for the things the American people truly care about.
How does it?
Now, I think Jordan is absolutely right here. I think he nailed it. That was a perfect summation of why the Democrats are doubling down on what's called resentment politics. Okay, resentment politics seeks to deflect blame and indignation and discontent away from the political class and focus it squarely on a portion of the population. And the Democrats are doing this precisely because they literally don't have anything else. Everything else, any major political or cultural issue, blows up in their face the moment they touch it, right? Everything woke turns to you know what. Every single issue, from the economy, the southern border, to inflation, to crime waves, Biden's poll numbers are shockingly low. And given that presidential approval is one of the key indicators for how a midterm election is going to turn out, the Democrats have been forced to try to change the narrative from their own total incompetence to Trump and the MAGA movement's threat to our way of life. There's just one problem with this resentment strategy. It ain't working. If anything, it's yet another issue that's blowing up in the Democrats' face. You may have seen the polling that came out from Biden's blood red speech last week, but if you haven't, okay, it was pretty devastating. Trafalgar, which is one of the single most accurate polling firms out there, they found that 57% of those who watched the speech thought it was a dangerous escalation in rhetoric designed to further incite conflict among Americans, which is precisely what it was. Right? That's precisely what resentment politics seeks to do. Every single demographic found the speech objectionable. In fact, 60% of Gen Zers, those between the ages of 18 and 24, found the speech abhorrent. It was a public relations disaster. So much so, even the ultra-leftists over at the Washington Post distanced themselves from it. But, alas, Democrats got nothing else. And so the White House and their loyal surrogates in the far-left media continue to denigrate Trump and the MAGA movement as a threat to the very heart of our nation. However, not only is this strategy unpopular, as per the polls, but it's also fundamentally wrong. So what I mean is the architects of this strategy, they don't realize that the rest of the nation does not view Trump and the MAGA movement with the same disdain and derision that these cosmopolitan liberals view it. Remember, the assumption here is that virtually everyone, for the exception of this fringe extreme right wing, virtually everyone finds Trump odious. That's the assumption. And so if we can put Trump on the ballot, then voters are going to forget their outrage at us for destroying the economy, us Democrats, forcing them to pay trillions of dollars worth of student loans, the imploding southern border, overseeing the highest inflation in 50 years, along with a nationwide violent crime wave not seen in decades. Yeah, all that. Well, voters are going to forget about that, and instead they're going to turn their ire against Trump and his ultra-MAGA candidates. But here's the astonishing irony. Far from hurting Republican candidates, what? Trump is overwhelmingly helping them. I'm sure many of you saw the side-by-side comparisons of the two rallies in Pennsylvania over the weekend, a Trump rally in support of Doug Mastriano and Dr. Oz versus a Biden rally that barely attracted anyone. And again, like what we talked about in yesterday's video, there's just no way for the media to spin that. So what they do two things. First and foremost, they hide it. They never report on how pathetic the turnout is for Biden rallies as compared to the arenas that get filled up with Trump's rallies. And you'll notice, by the way, they don't show the same restraint whenever it comes to Trump and a rally that was supposed to bring in 20,000 but only brought in 10,000. Oh, no, then attendance is a big deal. Trump is falling apart. So they hide it when it comes to Biden. And then secondly, they mock Trump. And they employ the Biden strategy of resentment politics, and they disparage the massive crowd as virtually entirely white or entirely male, no minorities whatsoever. I mean, it's just so absurd. But now, to make things even worse for Biden and the legacy media, we now have some pretty solid data that shows that far from hurting the candidates, Trump is radically helping them. My favorite pollster on the planet, Rich Barris of the People's Pundit, he's got a great piece out that shows this Trump advantage numerically. He notes that based on his own polling as well as more general polling out there, there's a very interesting pattern. Trump consistently polls better than the Republican candidates running for office. So, for example, Trump is polling upwards of 46, 47% in Pennsylvania, while Mastriano and Oz are in the low 40s. It's the same thing in Georgia, where Trump is far outpolling the GOP candidates. And therein lies the major problem with this Democrat notion that Trump is a liability for the midterms. According to Barris, when all said and done, in elections in which Trump has not played a significant role, Republican enthusiasm and turnout has suffered. Wherever Trump is active, like Arizona and Ohio and now Pennsylvania, Republicans are killing it. So if that's the case, then I think we've got at least two options for why the Democrats are doing this. Either they're totally ignorant, missing what's really happening here. They're completely clueless. And given what we're reading in the lamestream media about how supposedly toxic Trump and the MAGA movement is, that may indeed be the case. Or the other possibility is that the Democrats know precisely how formidable of a threat Trump is to them. And so they're doing everything they can to try to convince Republican candidates that Trump is actually political poison when Democrats actually know he's the GOP's ace card. And from what I just heard from Jim Jordan earlier here, the good news is that more and more GOP candidates are definitely recognizing the latter. They recognize that Trump is their white knight, not their kryptonite. And if that's the case, then it really doesn't matter what the Democrats are thinking. What they're doing promises to fail either way. As always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. You'll definitely want to check out my latest video, just uploaded, on the uprisings that are taking over Europe. It really does appear that Europe has begun to fall. You're not going to want to miss that. So make sure to click on the link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.